Good morning. Can you guys hear the birds and the stream? The stream is almost out of its banks. We've had so much rain. Hi, Nina. You're up early. I was wondering if you guys can hear the water. Hey, Tanya. There's a couple little birds chirping, and the stream is running real fast. And the trees are changing fast, really fast. Good morning, morning. Let's have JammieSunday. I didn't want to get out of my jammies yet, so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to stay in my jammies. Oh, yeah, the extra hour. Doesn't that feel good? That extra hour makes all the difference. Hey, Catherine. Good morning, good morning. Are you guys still in your jams? In your jammy jams? I didn't feel like getting dressed outside of my, pajama stuff. And it's nice and chilly. Can you see? It's like, yeah. They're just real softly chirping around. It's very peaceful here. Does anybody know if you can fast forward the replays yet? I can't on my phone, but I have an Android and we're like 700 years behind all the app updates. But, good morning, replay viewers, web viewers, live viewers. My name's Michelle Wolf, and if we can't do replays yet, I'm not going to worry too much about reminding you of that. Oh, yeah, we've got tons of color. Hey, Heath. Heath was hunting today and almost got one of the neighbor's dogs because she came crashing through the woods. And anyway, you can find me at caddyshackdesigns.com. Oh, awesome. Tanya's still in her jammies and still in her bed. Hi, honey. Here's a list of what I do. A lot of coaching and personal development stuff. Desire Map workshops, Desire Map focus coaching, which is really just kind of snazzy law of attraction stuff. And getting comfortable with being happy. I cannot fast forward replays yet. What? Oh, did I totally miss that? I thought we were going to be able to fast forward the replays on our phones. Well, I guess I better show you this cup again then, periodically. I am still having trouble with replays. Last night I tried to replay Michelle's neighborhood Halloween thingy. Oh! Did you guys see that? My alarm went off, but I'm already up. So here's that. You can't see others' comments. Mom was having that trouble. Here's the problem. Periscope is only 7 months old, and they're still working the bugs out. But the problem is it's so popular and so much fun to use that the demand, I think, is just overwhelming the developers. Some of us look before we start blasting. Yeah, thank you for looking before you blasted, because I would not want the neighbor's dog to be mistaken for a deer. And yeah, let's not even think about that. First of all, can I take just 30 seconds and complain about rural America and their treatment of their companion pets? Popped out and came back, fixed it. Oh, good. The dogs just run loose. And I know that that's the way dogs used to be, and I just have a little bit of a personal problem with it, because now we have one that's pretty much living on our porch. Because Heath built him this awesome, I don't know if I posted a picture of it. This is a super awesome double-sized doghouse, so his siblings can get in there if they want to, with a heat lamp, and it's on our new deck, and so it's out of the weather. It's got a lid on it. It's super cush. It's got a bed in it. He's got his own Afghan. He went up yesterday and built a cat house for the cat that lives up there, who's exposed to the elements with no shelter. So it has a house now up against a tree away from the dog so it can eat undisturbed. And One of the dogs, the mom dog, is 9 years old. She's been missing for days. Oh, Buck is in doggy heaven. Hey, Jana. We're just talking about rural American dogs. So the dogs just run loose. Pepper, the dog that's 9 years old, and the mom to all these dogs, has just disappeared. Nobody knows where she went. She's probably dead in the woods somewhere because she never... Oh, thanks. It's so soft. I just can't wrap my head around it. I just can't wrap my head around not knowing where your dog is. Not knowing where they're at. And when they disappear, not being like frantic. But I'm a total animal nut, and I know that sometimes I'm unreasonable in my expectations. At the same time, I'd love to let our cats run loose because they kind of drive me nuts inside. So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Nice mugs. You can get your nice mug right here for $14. Singingwolf@gmail.com. PayPal, $14. Free shipping. We'll get you one of these. Yeah, Tanya, I really struggle with it. I know that's like, I mean, it's an old guy up there. He's 70 years old. That's how he's always treated his animals. But, you know, I feel like if you have them, then you're responsible for feeding them, getting them medical care, providing them decent shelter if they're going to be outside. Thanks. They're going to be outside. 12 ounces. 12 ounces. It's hardly worth the trouble. But let's talk, and then let's do a card pull. He did. It's mountain folk. It's the same way in rural everywhere. I know, right? Rural Arizona was the same way. The dogs just ran in packs, and they got run over, and they disappeared. They got eaten by coyotes, and it's just... It's a different way of life. It's not something I can handle. JammieSunday. I decided from now on, Sundays, I'm just going to stay in my pajamas. Plus, I want to be outside and it's cold. So today's lesson, what we're really here to do is, is lesson 305 from this giant book, the Student Workbook, Part 2, lesson 305. I know, if we want to stay in our jammies and drink coffee and chit-chat about dogs or whatever, then we can. Because it's a free country and it's really easy to X out of the broadcast if you don't like our discussion. I do wander a bit, though, so I'm sorry. Whew. And I have 2 books today, too, so I'm going to read this one real quick because it really didn't do anything for me. So I randomly did a random book pull. Okay, Linda. And I'm going to read a section out of here. I don't know if it applies to someone who's going to be on the scope. Oh, volleyball. Or watching the replay, but we'll read it. Lesson 305. There is a peace that Christ bestows upon us. Love. We'll say love. Oh, good. Love you, Linda. Have a great day. Great volleyball day. Marianne Williamson. Like a million. You know, like a million books. I shouldn't have put jammies in the title. That's okay, Jana. Not anymore, you don't. Okay. There's a peace that Christ bestows on us. Who uses but Christ's vision finds a peace so deep and quiet, undisturbable and wholly changeless, that the world contains no counterpart. When we're using the vision of love, it's basically saying the same thing it said the other day. When we're using that vision, the peace is so deep and quiet and undisturbable and changeless that we don't see anything but that. Comparisons are still before this peace. When we're in that state of peace, we don't compare. We don't think about what they have versus what I have versus what you have. We don't compare. And all the world departs in silence as this peace envelops it and gently carries it to truth, no more to be the home of fear. For love has come and healed the world by giving it peace. Help us today accept your gift and judge it not, for it has come to save us from our judgment on ourselves. That peace saves us from the wreck that we make out of ourselves. It saves us from our self-abuse, our self-torment, our self-induced agony. It saves us from that. Good morning. Let's wait and see. And only that changeless peace saves us. That's it. It's everything. That donut, I know, right? I'm always a little suspicious. That donut's not going to save you. Yeah. That martini's not going to save you. That extramarital affair's not going to save you. That promotion, that extra $1,000 in the bank. Good morning. That extra $1 million, if you're at that level, is not going to save you. Donuts won't save you. Even though, ironically, they do look like a life preserver. They have that deceptive shape. They look like a life preserver. They're round with a hole in it. So you're like, hey, this must be a life preserver. But it's not. It's a donut, and it will not save you. Donuts are the best. I have been gluten-free since way before it was popular. I'll say that hipster comment. Since 2000 is when I found out I was having trouble. Donuts are tricky. It's a mean trick, isn't it? To be shaped like a life preserver and not be. So donuts really tear me up. Yeah, they're tricky. Tricky little round bastards. Yeah, that'd be cute, wouldn't it? Life preserver shaped donuts. Okay, so the good part about today's reading is it's a poetic way of saying what we talk about almost every day, because it's so true and it's so hard to hang on to. That peace, that connection to source, that connection to love, that peace just envelops your whole body and radiates out to everyone around you. It lets your body relax. It lets your body heal. It lets your mind heal. Anything we can do, it is, Tanya. And when I first read it, I was like, I don't know. But reading it out loud makes it different. We'll read it one more time, and then I want to read to you something that I flipped open in a book today. And then, if you want to, then we'll pull a card after that, just for fun. Those who use only Christ's vision, love's vision, find a peace so deep and quiet, undisturbable and wholly changeless, that the world contains no other part. Comparisons are still before this peace, and all the world departs in silence as this peace envelops it and gently carries it to truth, no longer to be the home of fear. For love has come and healed the world by giving it Christ's peace. And I like that it says, help us today to accept the gift and not judge it. Because it's there for us, but sometimes we need a little help opening up to it. We don't trust it. We don't think it, and then it feels really good, so we're like, well, this isn't going to last, so we may prematurely cut it off. But it has come to save us from our judgment on ourselves. Our judgment on ourselves is the worst thing we can do. It's worse than what we do to anybody else or anything else, is our judgment on ourselves. Can you imagine the difference that you would see in the world if people weren't beating themselves up all the time inside for whatever, for their social status or their weight or their physical appearance or their, comparison all the time, always with the comparison. Oh yeah, we continue to do it until we are practiced in dropping it. And we don't really drop it. We just replace it with more experiences of being in connection with the source, with that love. It's like an addiction. So when you're fighting an addiction, you typically lose. When you have an addictive behavior, so here's your addictive behavior, and you start observing it, and you start observing the compulsion to take an action that's not healthy for you, and you observe with compassion, and you see yourself take the action, and you stop the argument in your head. There's the argument in your head. Don't eat the donut. Don't eat the donut. Don't eat the donut. Don't eat the donut. And then you eat the donut. Or you don't even get that far. You've eaten the donut, and then you're like, who threw donut crumbs in front of me? Who ate this donut? There was a donut here, obviously. There's evidence of a donut. But I don't know where it came from, and I don't know where it went. Like, that's the height of unconscious behavior, where you are at the bottom of a six-pack and you don't remember drinking them, is what I've heard from the alcohol people. I have had experiences where I have eaten and been so mindless about it that I don't really remember eating. So, and quitting smoking was the same. Then you get to the argument phase where I used to drive around the gas station and be like, don't go get the cigarette. Don't buy the cigarettes. Don't buy the cigarettes. Don't buy the cigarettes. Don't buy the cigarettes. You're going to hate yourself if you buy the cigarettes. And then I would go in and buy the damn cigarettes. And then I'd feel horrible. I'd feel physically horrible. And then I'd feel like, such a failure and all the stuff that comes with addictive behavior. So then you get to that phase where you're hearing the argument, but you're still taking the action. And the best you can do is watch it and move toward compassion. And this is anything. This is a habit of negative thought. This is a habit of criticizing others all the time. This is a habit of comparing yourself to others all the time. It's addictive. It has addictive qualities to it. So you have the addiction. If you try to just take it away and just stop the behavior, it doesn't work. It won't work long term. That's called white knuckle. Oh, you're welcome. That's called white knuckling sobriety, white knuckle recovery. You've just stopped, but you are just tightly gripping, holding onto the ledge, and you're going to fall. That's when you hear people referred to as a dry drunk. They act mean and nasty. They're not drinking alcohol, but they're still acting like an addict, entitled and selfish and short-tempered, and there's no healing that's been done. You've just taken away the alcohol. If you just stop the behavior, that's called white knuckle sobriety or white knuckle recovery, and it doesn't work because there's no compassion, there's no love, there's no healing of what you're trying to avoid feeling, and there's no healing of the physiological parts of our body that become addicted. It doesn't work. If you take the addictive behavior and you start to observe it, now this is assuming that you're safe and your physical body can handle it. If you're a hardcore heroin addict, you may not have time to do this process. You may have to stop, go into treatment, and work at it from a slightly different angle. But the end result is you have to add a positive behavior alongside this negative behavior. So you're running two tracks for a while. You're not taking away. When we try to take something away from ourselves, we fight to get it back. So you're saying, okay, I get it. We're going to eat donuts. We're going to smoke cigarettes, whatever. We're not in any physical danger, and neither is anybody around us. So let's just work with this in a more compassionate way. So you've got let's just say cigarettes, because if we keep talking about donuts, I'm going to have a problem. You keep smoking, okay? You keep smoking your stinky cigarette. But you try to view yourself with love, and you try to understand that the cigarette smoking has a purpose. All behaviors have a purpose. All behaviors have a reason. When children are acting out, they're trying to fill a need in the only awkward way that they know how. When teenagers are acting out, again, they have a need. They don't know how to get it met, so they act out and be stupid. Addictive behavior is the same. You have some kind of need that cigarette or that donut or that alcohol or heroin or whatever is filling. What I find most often is addicts are sensitive, creative people who never learned or were never taught how to handle the world and how to handle all that energy coming in, because they don't have very good filters, if they had any filters at all. Alcohol and drugs, overeating, cigarette smoking, whatever, is a great way to pull a metaphor, a figurative blanket around you and numb yourself from all the stimulus coming in from outside. That's a different discussion. When you add something to it, if you are cutting back on sugar or you're trying to increase exercise, you add to it. So you're still smoking and you're meditating. You're still smoking and you're drinking more water, cutting back on your sugar, and maybe taking a walk. The tactics for quitting smoking, one of them is you brush your teeth right after you eat so that you don't want to smoke. You still want to smoke, but you kind of delay the process, and as you get further into it, you may actually be able to let go of that after dinner cigarette. But you say to yourself, you can have that after dinner cigarette if you want. But let's go brush our teeth first. Let's drink a glass of water, and maybe let's take a walk around the neighborhood before that. And so you're adding to it. So you don't feel deprived because you're not saying, I can never smoke again. If I said that to myself, and I haven't smoked since 2000, but if I said to myself, I can never ever smoke again, I can tell you, even this many years later, the first thing I'll want to do is go get a cigarette. I won't, but I'll want to. So why even go there? So I can smoke if I want to. If I want all the consequences that come with it, I can. You can say that about sugar. I can eat sugar if I want, all the consequences that come with it. And don't say it's snotty. Like you can say it, well, you can eat sugar if you want. If you want to deal with all the consequences, go right ahead. I mean, that's totally different than saying, I'm never going to take anything away from you, physical body that likes sugar, but I'm going to ask you to exercise in addition to it. When you add to, you don't create that sense of deprivation. Yeah, if you create a sense of deprivation, then you set up a power struggle in yourself, and it sabotages you, right? How many people make resolutions in January to do something to improve their health, and by January 1st in the afternoon, they've already sabotaged it? So you have to add to it, not take away. So you observe yourself. First of all, you wake up to what you're doing. You become conscious of it. You're aware that you are buying a Krispy Kreme before you find the crumbs on the table in front of you. Or you're aware that you're stopping to buy cigarettes before you've already smoked one, and you wake up and you're like, I said I was going to quit smoking and I just finished a damn cigarette. Then when you become aware of it, you start to observe it with compassion. So you start to learn, what's my trigger? Is it I feel anxious and I want to smoke? Is it that, and it's typically some sort of anxiety. Is it that I feel bored and I want to smoke? Is it that I feel any kind of emotion at all and I want to smoke? Or is it as something as simple as a habit of driving in the car and lighting a cigarette being part of your routine? Or mine used to be really strong talking on the phone. I really wanted to smoke a lot talking on the phone. So then you observe it. Then you start to look for places where you can let it go. Like maybe only one cigarette during a phone conversation. Or maybe you don't light a cigarette in the car until you're 10 miles down the road. You can start to play those little games the whole time, telling yourself, I'm not quitting. I'm managing this. I'm just going to play with this. I'm just going to, out of curiosity, see what happens if I just wait an hour after I get up before I smoke, instead of smoking before I even roll out of bed, which I never did because that always made me sick. But some people do. They smoke a cigarette or a joint or whatever before their feet even hit the floor. I don't really like doing that. Does that make sense? If you're trying to eliminate something. Oh, so with the peace thing, you stop the criticism in the same way. That's where we started, right, Catherine? The self-criticism becomes less the more you run peace alongside of it. So as you're criticizing yourself, you're also here every day and doing what you do every day. You're adding peace to it. So over time, the experiences of peace become larger, while the moments of self-criticism just naturally start to recede into the background. It's a very natural process. Oh, good. Have you ever washed rice? You turn the water on, especially brown rice is pretty, you need to wash the starchy stuff off. And so you put it in your bowl and you run water in it and you stir it up with your hands and the water's dirty, cloudy, dirty, cloudy, dirty, cloudy. And it gets lighter, lighter, lighter until it's clear. Well, that's what you do. When you wash rice. Okay. Remind me if I start to sign off and I forget. Washing rice, the water gets really cloudy and the water's running from the sink. So you keep stirring the rice, and the water eventually gets clear. It's the same thing. You're self-critical, you're mean to yourself, you beat yourself up, you start to pour in the water of peace, and peace naturally washes away your self-criticism. The trick is, here's the tricky part that a lot of people don't stick with, is you've got to do it every day. You've got to train yourself to seek peace instead of self-criticism. So you have to catch yourself beating yourself up, and then you have to say, where's my book? Where's a scope replay that I can watch? Where's something that can help me reconnect to love instead of this beating myself up or comparing myself to my friends and family or making myself feel bad? What can I do instead of this? So you don't go, damn it, I'm beating myself again. I'm comparing myself again to Sandra Bullock, who's the same age as me nearly. I can't compare myself to Sandra Bullock. I feel horrible. So you catch yourself doing it and you're like, the trick is consistency in choosing peace over beating yourself up. And you've got to choose it every day. So the tricky part is committing to experiencing connection and love and peace every day so to get used to how that feels. A lot of people don't know what it feels like. That's okay. A lot of people don't know what peace and connection and love and happiness feel like. So if every day you train in peace, choosing to be happy over being right, choosing to be happy over being comparative with others, catching yourself thinking to yourself that you just did something stupid, you take a deep breath, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let that discussion stay in my head and let it do its thing. And at the same time, I'm going to pick up a book that inspires me, or I'm going to journal a quote, or I'm going to find a quote that I like. That's why I encourage people to keep a file on the computer or a paper file or a stack of books that you can immediately access when you catch yourself being a bitch to yourself. When you catch yourself, you can go, oh, and then you have immediate access to something that will help you shift out of that. So you don't blame yourself for what you just caught yourself doing. I like to physically reach for something. I have one of those little fabric totes that are like 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 square that I keep several books in so that I can just go grab one if I need it. If I'm away from home and I'm getting in a shitty mood, I typically will go to my Kindle and grab something off of there just randomly. So, does that help? You don't stop beating yourself up and then become nice to yourself. You start becoming nice to yourself, then you naturally stop beating yourself up. Your buffer bag. That's a great term. Little books you carry around in your purse, yeah, or carry around with you. You create a buffer bag. Jeez, Michelle, that's like the second one in 2 days I've had to write down. The Bragg Buffet, which I think that should be Yeah, good. Brag buffet and a buffer bag. Create yourself a buffer bag. The hardest part is taking out the blame. When you get mad at yourself for something that you're doing that you'd rather not do anymore, it defeats the process of just... Brag buffet is maybe once a week one of us does a scope and lets people just brag about whatever they want to without having to feel guilty about it. Brag buffet. Because we don't brag about ourselves enough. Yeah, like Friday. Maybe once a week we could do that. If you want to. Okay, so this is the book I pulled from this morning out of my box of books. I blindly reached in and grabbed something because I wasn't super hip on today's reading until we actually read it. But I grabbed this book, Gift of Change by Marianne Williamson. It did, didn't it? I was so tired when I did that scope. I was like, I have got to do something to energize myself. I do too. I just love her so much. And the brag scope. You sure can. And we love and appreciate you right back. So here's what I opened to. I skimmed it and it didn't really feel like it applied to me, but maybe it applies to someone watching on the web or someone on the scope right now or someone on the replay, because I don't think I flip open to stuff for no reason. So this is called The Gift of Change by Marianne Williamson. We're in chapter 8, which is called From Separation to Relationship. This section is called Melting the Walls. I'm just going to read it to you. How many times have you seen a pattern in your relationships that you felt powerless to change? How often have you, and this could be your relationship with yourself too, how often have you despaired of ever breaking free of self-sabotaging behavior? And how deeply have you panicked at the thought that you might never get it right? Our despair and panic are natural responses to the relationship dramas we create in our lives. But our tears are not what we think they are, because the predicament itself is not what we think it is. What separates us from others is not just codependency or neediness or any psychological issue. Our barriers to love represent a cosmic force ensconced within the human psyche in a dark and insidious way, holding dominion, temporary though wicked, over the mental functioning of a child of God. It is completely irrelevant what form the barrier to love takes. Our concentration on the form of fear is an ego tactic to keep us stuck in the problem. It's sort of like finding a thief in your house and saying, I have to know his name before I call the police. Who cares what his name is? Call for help. We do that, right? We want to pick at it. We want to dig at it. We want to analyze it. We want to speculate about it. We want to read books about it instead of just calling for help. Help, I have a problem. Help, I have created a situation where I've forgotten how powerful I am. I've forgotten how to feel connected to love. I've forgotten that there's a source of energy out there that I can reach for in any moment that will resolve this situation with a whole lot less effort. Good morning, Rhonda. The ego is our deepest enemy, masquerading as our closest friend. It is nothing we should fear, however, because the moment we recognize it as merely a mental miscreation, just a story, simply a false belief about who we are, it will disappear into the nothingness from whence it came. We ourselves, however, cannot demand its departure. It has taken our will and confused our defenses. Like an immune system disease that attacks its own cells, The ego attacks the mind it's supposed to give life to, and only God can help us. Only Source can help us. That connection to Source, that unchangeable peace that we talked about this morning. So it is related. The unchangeable, deeply healing, restful, relaxing, never-ending peace and love connection is the only thing that can help us. Reaching for Source shows us the innocence in others so that we can see it in ourselves. He will outwit our self-hatred and return our hearts to love. Most of us, all of us, in fact, except enlightened masters, this is interesting, live to some extent in a state of love withhold. Yeah, our seeming separation. We are waiting to see if a person is good enough to receive our kindness, our generosity, or our love. People hardly have dates anymore. We have auditions. We think we need to understand a person to see whether they are worthy of our love, but in fact, unless we love them, we can't understand them. This is true for ourselves also, I would say. I missed a comment. Clear one block is not the block itself. You guys talk amongst yourselves, so I missed a piece of something. We do that to ourselves, right? We try to audition. We try to earn our own self-love. We don't have to earn it. It's ours, just like air. We don't have to earn air. We don't have to work for air. We just breathe it. Love is the same. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. It's there even more reliably than air is. God would have us keep our hearts open to people as a matter of faith. And any faith that has us close... I did. I so did. Any faith that has us close our hearts to anyone is not a genuine faith. So, let's see. Love is our natural state, but it starts to feel unnatural because we open and close, we give and close, we turn it on and off. And every time we turn it off, it hurts. Here's the thing. We turn it off because we get scared. We don't have to turn it off because we're scared. We can recognize a dangerous person and set appropriate boundaries and still open-heartedly love. It's not the loving that puts us at risk. And loving in this sense of connecting to Source, not Fruit Loop love where you just run around. When you clear one block, another shows up. It's not the block itself. Right. If I'm understanding this correctly, it's not the block. It's the loving and analyzing whatever block's in front of you. When you can just cut to the chase and focus on love and feeling love and having love come through you and out of you and ignoring the form that it takes. There was something in there just now that said it's not the form that it takes is irrelevant. And trying to analyze the form and define it, like asking the name of the thief before you call for help. The first thing you should do is call for help. Then if you want to figure out what it is, go ahead, but you need to ask for help first. You need to return to love first. I think that was her first book, Return to Love. So there's a book out there by Thomas Zass called The Manufacture of Madness. It's a great book. And I'm not saying that mental health doesn't exist, because it absolutely does. And there's a place for therapists. Yes. Yeah. And that analyzation is your procrastination. Dealing with why the block, not the block itself. Yeah. Just address the block. Don't worry about the form it takes. If it shows up in a boss or a coworker or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse or a parking meter attendant, or you can get it online. You can go to thework.com or thework.org, I forget, and download the worksheets. Watch her videos on YouTube. You don't even have to buy the book if you don't want to. Watching her videos on YouTube is a great way to get the hang of how to do the worksheets. So yeah, so people can get caught up in going to therapy. I fixed my relationship with, for Byron Katie. I think Michelle was talking about The Work by Byron Katie, where you pick your stories apart. I might be wrong. About that. Analysis is procrastination. Analysis is the way that your thinking mind keeps you trapped. Oh, okay. That book. She's talking about the Stephen Pressfield Do the Work book. Yes, just do the damn work. Just do it. Get yourself a Nike t-shirt and let that swoop remind you to just do it. But what you're just doing is connecting to source. It's just, there is one answer to every problem, but we want to analyze the problems. We want to know the details. We want to look it over. It's the same as a dog with a bone. You know, a dog finds a yucky bone in the woods and they are over that bone, and it's dirty and gross and stinks and it has pieces of junk on it, and they're just over every square inch of it, over and over and over and over it. And then they finally settle down and eat it, which is even grosser. But it's the same that we do with problems. So we fix a problem with our spouse, and then we want to make it linear. Fix this problem, then fix this problem, then fix this problem, then fix that problem. All those problems have the same source. It's like an organizational chart. Problem, all these different forms. It does take a village. Well, you've certainly helped me before. Okay? So, geez, I wish I had some paper. Hold on. I got a thing for you. It's not really super don't get excited. Like, it's not complex. So you have your block, okay? The block is separation, or seeming separation from love, from source. And it takes all these different forms, okay? So, hold on just a second. And then, rather than getting obsessed with those forms, there's only one answer. So you could do it like this. This is some high-tech shit right here. This is what going to college will get you. Okay, look. The block comes out and takes all kinds of different forms. But there's only one block. So the answer to all those different forms, there's only one answer, and that's love. Connecting to love circles you back around up here and resolves this from this. All this here is hogwash and garbage and stuff that you don't need to waste your time on. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay, yeah, so like a spider web. There's one block and it's separation from this. And there's all this stuff in the middle you can just do this with. Just open your hand and let it go. Just drop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. One block takes many forms, but the many forms of those blocks is solved with one answer. One method. Connect to love. Connect to love. Connect to love. I'm just going to tattoo that on my forehead. Return to love over and over. Just stop it. Stop it, damn it. Knock it off. Do you guys say that to kids? Just knock it off. Ooh, what's that about? Everything stemming from separation from love. Right? I really want another tattoo. I love them. Okay, so Marianne Williamson has made a career and written like a zillion books, all saying the same thing. Byron Katie's books all say the same thing. Danielle's Laporte stuff all says the same thing. It all says the same thing. Every religious text says the same thing. Everything from the beginning of recorded time says the same thing. Rumi's poetry all says the same thing. Compassion, return to love. Observe your human nature with compassion, with the deepest compassion and love that you can find, and everything will just take care of itself. But it's not done. That's not the end of the story. So you don't do that on one day and have it hold for the rest of your life. It's not like taking an Advil. Well, actually, maybe it is, because every 4 hours, if you're in pain, you got to take another stinking Advil. It all says the same damn thing. But the thing is we don't retain it. And we're all different. We all have different backgrounds. We all learn differently. Some people learn visually. Some people learn kinesthetically. And this isn't information that we retain. And I'm starting to think that we are designed to not retain it. Because everything else we retain. Over time, you remember how to add if you do it enough. You take your daily dose and you never stop taking your daily dose. All religions tell you you have to study daily. You have to read your text daily. Your whole life. Duh! Yeah, that's where the duh comes from whenever we see it again and again and again. And people, myself included, can make a whole career out of helping you see that. If we only had to learn this once, we never forget how to ride a bike. You might be clumsy if you go 10 years without riding a bike, but you'll remember how to ride a bike. You learn it, you've learned it, and you're done learning it. Spiritual vitamins, right. So it's like food. I really feel like connection to source is like food. You don't eat once, and then you're done eating for the rest of your life. You have to eat several times a day. I was chasing one of the A-team yesterday, because she hadn't eaten all day, and she was super crabby, and I was like, you need this to live. You need food to live. You have to eat something. You're a nightmare because you have not eaten all day. You need your daily dose of spirituality to live, if you want to live the best life you can. And it's your choice. You don't have to. You need it to live. You've got to eat it. You've got to breathe it. Very hangry. Oh, she was so hangry. For those of you who don't know, it's like that anger you get when you're so hungry and you get bitchy. I had a hangry little 18-month-old in my hands yesterday. Is this helping? It's taking me a long time to get here. You're a slow learner. Well, we all are. And you know what? Actually, you know what did it for me was a few years. This is so cheesy. I think Tony Robbins is he's cheesy. He has great information though. And so I was watching him on an Oprah show, and he was working live, similar to what we do, in the audience with this woman. And she said, well, I've already done that. And he was like, I'm paraphrasing, of course. He was like, you don't get to stop doing it. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep reading your inspirational materials every day. You have to listen to a podcast, watch a video, listen to a radio show. He is cheesy, but isn't he he's like the nicest person. Like, he really is authentically cares about people. I feel like he really cares about people. Even after all these years of working with the same material, he says the same thing. Somebody said that they didn't like Tony Robbins. Yes, he is. Because he always says the same thing. And I was like, well, everybody says the same thing. Right, you watched one of my scopes? I done fixed you up, girl. You're done. You don't ever have to come back again. Please don't take that seriously, because I would be sad if you stopped coming. Although, eventually, you move on to other material and then you circle back. The first time I saw a Course in Miracles book was in 1989. Talk about slow learner. 1989. So I kept for years reading book after book after book. That'd be too easy, right? Yeah. Could we just have breakfast and call it good for the whole day or the whole week? Could we just eat once a week? No. We can't just eat once a week. We have to eat several times a day. We have to drink water several times a day. We have to breathe over and over and over and over and over. And that's what he told that woman. He's like, it's never done. This spiritual growth, this keeping yourself in a positive mind frame is never done. You also don't exercise once a week and expect to maintain your results. Taking care of ourselves, there are certain things we have to do daily. So that's what I was saying earlier. When you daily connect with Source, when you daily let yourself feel that love that's unconditional for yourself and everyone in the whole world, in the whole universe, when you daily give yourself a taste of that, you start to reach for it more and more, and it starts to become more comfortable. Because in the beginning, it's not comfortable in your body, it's not used to it, so you shut it down pretty quick. So when you do it every day, you get used to it, and it starts to feel good. You start to reach for that instead of the donut. You start to reach for that instead of a session of beating the shit out of yourself in your head. Let's pull a card. I've been talking forever. Yeah. Time change, yeah. I'm also going to try and more consistently get on by 9. I think it helps us grow. I think that we have them because we're human. And our particular brand of difficulty may be based on our personality and our upbringing and our soul and our history. Love you. We've been talking for a while, Catherine. I'm sorry. We've been talking for a long time. But I think we all have the difficulties. But again, the shape it takes, the form it takes, is based on our personal selves. Bye. Have a great day. She's probably heading off to church. Let's pull a card from this here Kuan Yin Oracle. Let's pull a card for our group of 7, unless we have some web viewers. Hello, web viewers. We're infinitely creative, so we need different forms of the same thing. Yeah. Just don't get too caught up in the form. And Nina, I think that we grow our spiritual muscles, like you said, unlocking who we are. We come in blind. We spend some time unlocking who we are. Sarah Ballard referenced this book, which reminded me I had it and hadn't read the whole thing. And it's kind of a weird little book, but it does talk about this. What's the name of it, Mom? Busting Loose. The guy's a little bit weird, and the book's a little bit weird, and his other books, I think, are a little bit useless. But his book's Busting Loose, he's talking about money, but he's using it really as a vehicle to talk about larger principles, I think. I don't think it's very expensive. What the hell's his name? Robert Scheinfeld. It's helpful. He's a little bit of a weirdo, though. I think he's a little bit odd. But, a lot of creative people, including myself, are a little bit odd. I can't help it. We're just that way. We're just odd. Card for the group. I'm sure that if you're on here, you've probably been told that you're odd. Yeah. Me too. That's why our group is probably small, and it's probably likely to stay small. And that's okay, because it's not something I'm seeking. There's so many scopes about grow your followers, build your followers. So exhausting. We're all odd to someone. Yeah, good point. Good point. I'm sure our neighbor thinks I'm the oddest person in the world because I keep my cats inside, and and Heath worries if Buck has a warm place to sleep at night, and a can of dog food, which he's already had this morning. He was so toasty warm in his doghouse this morning that when Heath left to go hunting, he stayed here. He's like, yeah, you go ahead and tramp out in the cold woods. I'm going to stay here and toast my bunny buns and eat my canned dog food and then go back to bed, which is exactly what he did. Yeah, we're a small, powerful group. Okay, let me stop shuffling and pull a card. We have Dynasty of the Divine Mother. Ooh, such beautiful artwork. Oh, gosh. That reflection. How's that? Dynasty of the Divine Mother. Yes, we are a small but powerful group. There's power in groups to change. So pretty. So let's read that. I just like even the title. Dynasty of the Divine Mother. Oh, what number is it? Number 8. Does anyone else have this deck? Sometimes it's so to the point that I'm like, wow, that's intense. Dynasty of the Divine Mother. It's beautiful, Michelle. It's Tanya. It's beautiful. The deck is gorgeous. It's one of the more expensive decks as far as decks go. They tend to range $10 or $12. This one is $22 on Amazon, so it's almost double the price, but it's so worth it. Okay, the only wish of the Divine Mother Goddess is that all beings be spiritually free. The Divine Goddess calls us to realize our true nature, to fall in love with our own divinity. Enlightenment is a culmination of many small steps. Each one... Oh, that's cool. Enlightenment is a culmination of many small steps, each one as a drop of water, forming a divine ocean of peace, realization, love, and unity within us, an ocean that washes away fear, separation, and scarcity, and bathes us in abundance and bliss. You carry the torch of enlightenment within you, beloved. Let it shine each day. Well, isn't this interesting? Sometimes we imagine enlightened beings to be another species to everyday humans, yet there is an old Eastern saying that goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Enlightenment is made manifest through the small actions we take each day. Duh! Duh! Enlightenment is made manifest through the small actions we take each day. Sometimes the smallest action can feel like an enormous leap, and yet when the action is taken, we realize that the journey into peace is something we can choose at every moment. 15's not bad, because they were 22. The Dynasty of the Divine Mother is her spiritual legacy, her endless compassion for human suffering, and her intent to lift humanity out of ignorance into peace, which shines through the Oriental goddesses like Kuan Yin, Green Tara, and Mazu. So perfect. The oracle indicates that your spiritual legacy is important on this planet. You are a channel for the Dynasty of the Divine Mother for the enlightenment of all beings. We contribute to the Divine Mother's dynasty through our choices and creations, from the inner thoughts we hold to the projects in which we invest time, energy, and money. These become part of the spiritual legacy we pass on to generations to come. The Divine Mother now guides you to realize that your soul is moving closer to personal enlightenment and is beginning to live it from moment to moment. The more you choose to notice and appreciate the moments, the more they happen for you. The more you acknowledge it, the more you reach for it, the more it happens and becomes a self-reinforcing, beautiful cycle. It is the realization of your own process of realization. It is exciting, and yet it will not take you away from the world or your loved ones, as you may have subconsciously feared. It will simply make your light stronger, bringing blessings and peace through your being into the world and your relationships each day. Your personal enlightenment will help the planet in so many ways. You will become a stronger spiritual light to which others can look so that they can find their way more clearly. And I know we've talked about that before too. Your leaders. Our group is small. These groups are small. The groups that are dedicated to daily work are small, but they're leading the way. Good morning, Kim. We're reading from this Kuan Yin Oracle, Dynasty of the Divine Mother. So here's what you're being asked to do. You're being asked to surrender ideas about what enlightenment may look or feel like, and to realize where it is already emerging within you. So let go of what you think enlightenment looks like or feels like. Let it show you what it is for you, because your version may be different than my version, may be different than your neighbor's version. You will also receive guidance about your spiritual practice on a daily basis. You may be drawn to meditate in a different way. You may be drawn to work with sacred words and prayers, Tai Chi or Qigong healing arts, or to get acupuncture and massage. Listen to your heart. It knows unity, and it has the seeds of enlightenment already in it. Follow your inner guidance. This is the luminous pathway to divine realization. Yes, change your perception. Let go of what you have defined the world to be, because you can redefine it at any time. Let go of the labels that you've placed on yourself. I'm not a good athlete. I'm not a good, changer of oil. That's not true. You can be whatever you want to be. If you grew up being told you were clumsy, you're not clumsy. Let that go. Find something different. You may be led to the exercise that strengthens you so that you don't fall down on things all the time. My husband said something about me being clumsy the other day, and I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, but just because I fell in a ditch doesn't mean that I'm clumsy across the board. We had a little discussion about that, because I don't want to take that on. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. The Divine Mother has gratitude for you as part of her spiritual legacy. You are a member of the dynasty of the Divine Mother. This card is also guidance not to fear if your spiritual path appears to be losing some focus to matters in the day-to-day world. Your spiritual focus will return when the time is right. So it's saying like you're going to focus hard on spiritual growth, and then you may find you step away from it. Then you come back to it, but you're in a different place, and then you may step away from it. You're still doing a little something every day, but just like our scopes, some days they're like blow your mind powerful, and some days we're just kind of touching base, and we're, building a foundation. Yeah, aren't the heart colors really pretty? Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for all those hearts. The counter does not register them all, which doesn't matter, because this experience of them is awesome for me every day. And the mix today is really pretty. Let's see what else. Enlightenment doesn't have to happen in an obviously spiritual place. Enlightenment can happen at your desk, in your cubicle at work. Enlightenment can happen on the bus. It can happen in your car. Daily touchstones are so important. Yes. It's the act, whether you reach it or not, it's the act of every day saying, I am willing. I am willing to see the world differently. I am willing to connect to this intense feeling of unconditional love. I'm willing. You show up. That's what the Stephen Pressfield books are about. You show up. You reach for it every single day. You may not get it. It may be super intense one day and a little bitty trickle the next day, and you might feel totally flat and unable to hear the Divine Beloved on 2-3 days, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks. You feel like you've lost contact with the Divine Beloved. You haven't. Reach for it every day. Do the work. Show up. The work is showing up. Our life is our temple for soul growth if we are open to it. Let your heart rest peaceful, knowing that your spiritual light is shining bright and growing deeply. Ooh, this is a long one. Your enlightened heart. Okay, here's the practice. Lie quietly in a darkened room. Take your awareness into your heart. Imagine there is a light glowing in your heart that ebbs and flows with your breath. So brighter, softer, brighter, softer. Feel the light expanding and contracting, and then feel it expanding out, and then a little in, and then out farther, and in and back in. Expanding in and out, going out farther. I feel the light of love within me is your mantra for this meditation. I feel the light of love all around me. I am one with the light of love in all things. Rest and feel the energy of connection and allow it to travel from your heart and through your whole body. And then open your eyes. So the prayer is, please help me to live my light, to live my enlightenment in each day, to know myself, and to live the beauty and bliss with peace in my heart. Thank you for all your help. Om Shanti. I feel your peace in my heart now. May all beings feel and know this peace within. Om Shanti. Om Mani Padme Om. And on that note, the last thing I have for you today is a scoper who scopes the beautiful things around Paris. I've been following him for a while, and I don't have my notifications on most of the time, or if I do, I have them on silent. And he scopes several times a day, so sometimes if you're just not in the mood, it can get annoying. But he scopes. This morning he was scoping from the forest around Versailles. The other day he was scoping from a chocolate competition festival, a chocolate festival or something. And I was like, I need to go to Paris. He has the cutest little accent. And here's his name. I don't know how to say it. Oh, my handwriting's terrible. It's Moktarkane. Mokhtar Kane? I don't know. I think it's Mokhtar Kane. Mokhtar. Yeah, I have him. I have several scopers. Yes, Jana, thank you. And that's his handle. So he scopes beautiful, beautiful things. I have several scopers who scope when they're hiking. Like there's one from Norway. When I need a dose of beauty because I'm somewhere else. Because here I just open the front door. I did. I shared him out this morning. Yeah, he was scoping these beautiful fall trees from the forest around Versailles. So yeah, he should be in your Twitter feed. Phew! We talked about a lot today. I'm gonna have to take the watch the replay myself. Sometimes when I get on a roll, I don't remember what I said. And I know I'm not saying it just for you. It is. Do you hear it? Lots of juice. It's a good thing, speaking of juice, it's a good thing I hooked my phone up to the juice pack. Let me turn the camera around so you can see the trees. Chock full of nuts. I mean enlightenment. Some people would say I'm chock full of nuts. Or full of shit, depending on who it is. Oh, brother. That's the beauty of a tin roof. It makes even a little bit of rain sound fantastic. Wow, my glasses are just super bugging me today. So there you have it. You can bottom line all of that, regardless of what the problem is. Just return to love. I was telling my mom the other day that in this little Buddhist group that we used to go to, oh, thanks. I rely on it to get me out of trouble. You're welcome. In this little Buddhist group we used to go to, a woman I knew used to complain that the little Japanese ladies would just say chant. Some people just say pray. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Practical nuggets. We're all just working to turn money into chicken nuggets. That's Matt Balasai. I can't take credit for that. Anyway, the answer is the same. Regardless of the problem, the answer is the same. And that can be frustrating, but it's true. If you're struggling, call for help. Don't ask for the name of the thief. Call for help. Return to love. Reach for a book. Reach for a scope. Reach for a dance move. Bust a move in your living room. Reach for love. Call for help. Don't worry about what the problem is. The form does not matter. And next Sunday, I'm not going to put jammies in my title. Ooh, I know we got some trolls. Fortunately, only one of them stayed around. I'm sure some are watching, but... Okay. That was awesome, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Look, you guys stuck around for a long time. I have to have been talking for at least an hour already. No trolls. We don't worry about them too much. Don't worry about trolls. Don't worry about... Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been talking for a while. I am. I'm warm and toasty. It's perfect here. It's perfect here today. It's cold. It's damp. But it's not too cold. My robe's enough. We've got the heat going. Super awesome. Super awesome place to live. If you haven't already, take a deep breath in. A little bit. Hold and then release. Thank you, Nina. Thank you. You guys help make the magic. It's the group synergy. No, we're in the mountains. They get a little bit of a snow every year. And in fact, last year, they got more snow and ice than Denver did. They were colder here all winter than Denver was last year. So, all right, I'm going to go reheat my coffee. Don't hesitate to contact me if you need something. If we talk about something and you have questions, or it brings up something for you and you need to process through it. Yep, it was. I think I'm going to miss snow too, although last year I don't feel like we got very much. We'll get a little bit here, hopefully enough. Bye! Have a wonderful Sunday. Stay in your jammies as long as possible. Enjoy that extra hour. Come visit in January. You're not that far away from us, Michelle. Not very far at all. Okay, talk to you later. See you tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye! She's in Cincinnati. Okay, I gotta go. I think you did, Rhonda. I think you missed more than half of it, probably. You're welcome. Enjoy the replay. Love you. See you tomorrow.